bubbly personality, and I love to make people smile, and I think I'm pretty good at it. I'm a very positive influence on the people around me, and with the alcohol, sometimes I had to fake it. Nobody knew I was faking it, but now I don't have to fake it. I'm just much more positive. So I think that's one of my good traits, is my energy, my positivity.
I grew up in a family where my father was an alcoholic, and it really had a very negative impact on my whole childhood. And so as I was growing up and my whole adult life, I had this worry that, like, maybe I have that addictive gene, I could be an alcoholic. And I've always been like really mindful of drinking alcohol. And so I partaked, and every time I did, I'd feel guilty. And I had this huge guilt all the time. It was like, oh my gosh, am I going down this bad path? I don't want to be like my father. And it was, just all this, tons of guilt, even just having like one drink. And when I stopped drinking alcohol, it was like this enormous weight was lifted off my shoulders. It was incredible. I had no idea that I was carrying that level of stress connected to alcohol, and it all fed back to the history with my dad. Because our society is so alcohol driven, really. And I'm a big runner, and the running community we're big drinkers. And I was equating running, alcohol with both social and reward. So most of the time, most of my drinking was always after a run group. We have a drink to celebrate our run, or after the long run on the weekend, it's a hot day, let's have a beer. And I equated that with my social life and my reward system. And my fear was that, how do I give this up? I want to do fun things, I want to be social, and I want to give myself rewards. But then if I take the alcohol what's left? You helped me realize that I didn't need the alcohol. When we met like almost a year ago to this day. And that's why I wore this Dresden shirt, because we were Dresden ambassadors, and that's the first time I met you. And you were very open about like being sober, and I could see you're like very social, and you're even in the beverage industry. So I thought, well, heck, if he can do it, I do it. And it was literally less than a week after we met that I just made the decision to give up alcohol. And I did a little experiment. I didn't know, originally I wasn't going to give it up for good. I'm an exercise physiologist, and I did a body composition analysis on myself when I decided to give it up. And I didn't make any changes other than giving up alcohol. 5 weeks later, I did another body composition analysis, and I lost 3 pounds of fat and I gained 1 pound of muscle in just 5 weeks. And being as competitive as I am, I'm like, if this is going to have this good of an effect on my body, I can't not give up alcohol. So I'm like, I'm in for the long haul now. So, and it's been an amazing, I just had my 1 year anniversary last week, and it's been an amazing year. Like, my health is just, I would say it's been either the first or second best health decision I've ever made. The first one is probably my running, but number 2, best health decision I've ever made in my entire life. So one huge thing is I sleep way better. And that's also data driven too. My Garmin watch tells me I used to have sleep scores in the 60s and 70s, and 100 being the best. And now my scores are always in the 80s and 90s. I even had a 99 one time recently. So my sleep is amazing. And I mentioned that I'm like very competitive with my running, and my running has just taken off. I mean, I'm running faster than I have for 15, 20 years. I set a lifetime PR a couple weeks ago in the 50K, lifetime, and I'm 57. So, that just makes me, that's a reward in itself, really. Just seeing what your body can do when you're sober. And what I must have been, I was sabotaging my performance without realizing it. So it's been eye-opening and shocking. Like, I had no idea it would have such a positive effect on my life. Mentally and emotionally, I feel like I'm a lot stronger because, if I had a bad day before, I'd say, oh man, you deserve a glass of wine. You've had a rough way, a rough time, and that's how I would cope with stress. And now I don't do that. I can't cope with stress, so what do? I go for a walk or go for a run if I have a really stressful day. So I'm dealing with my stress better, and having the better sleep coupled with dealing with stress better just makes everything better. It really does. So I think, I was using alcohol that was my stress coping mechanism. It really was. So I've had to find other ways, and it's just activity based, really. And when you don't try to mask it, you realize it's really not that bad. I feel like I'm a much better listener now. I'm more actively engaged in the conversations. And it's funny because, I was stressed about the social situations and, oh gosh, I'm nervous about this. How do I take the edge off? But it's better. It's made my relationships better. And even with dating, I would always want to have a drink before I met someone new. And I was really nervous to meet somebody new without a drink, but it's so much better that way, because then you get to learn, like I said, you're a better listener. So you're learning more about them, and it's not under this veil of alcohol. So all the great NA beers, I found, it's called Good Liar. It's it tastes just like an IPA. So I do all the non-alcoholic cocktails and beers, and everybody's like, oh, you must be saving a lot of money since you went sober. And I'm like, no, not really. That's not one of the benefits, but that's okay. And I also, after runs, instead of grabbing a beer, I'll grab a cherry Coke, and that's a reward too. So, because I used to be like, I can't wait for that beer. Now, I love pizza. I'll tell myself, hey, I'm gonna go get this pizza, or I'm gonna make a lunch date with a friend. You try to think of just other rewards. But a lot of times it is like a social reward that I'll say, okay, I know a couple after I shower and stuff, I'm gonna go meet this friend, and we're gonna, take a walk, or we're gonna go shopping or something. So it's much healthier. It's a much healthier reward system for sure.